when I came into this class is that I generally knew about ASD, but it was on what ASD was based on children and not adults.
I didn't realize how much of an emphasis was on the kids with autism and how little there was about adults with autism and the resources and the support. I think that stems from just this idea that autism is like only within kids. Obviously that's not true, but most people don't know that because a lot of the support and fundraisers are for kids with autism, and I think that adults with autism maybe are not seen as much in society.
As a society, we are not educated enough on the topic of autism spectrum disorder. The thing that made me realize this was the title of the course, Perspectives on Autism in Adulthood. We know what happens to people on the spectrum that are in elementary school, middle school, and high school, but we never talk about what happens after high school, after they graduate. Do they go to college? Do they get a job? The answer is yes, they can, depending on where they are in the spectrum. But it can be really difficult for them because of all the prejudice and bias that they may face in society.
Autism carries to adulthood and is important to acknowledge. It is a part of one's identity and is not something that should be erased, but rather embraced.
I realize that there must be a lot of people out there who have autism and who don't know they have autism, and as a result don't get the necessary help or accommodations they should because they don't have their diagnosis yet.
And by learning about this and learning about the present diagnoses and approaches, it made me realize that we still need to use different and research the improved approaches to assess and care for adult folks on the spectrum as well.
I also learned that the experiences of people who have comorbid conditions vary widely from those adults on the spectrum who can eloquently advocate for themselves, and their experiences vary a lot from people right in the middle of the spectrum. And it is very important to understand the person who you're talking about and what their preferences are, because everyone has different preferences and we should be mindful of that.
And so we need to be able to take in the spectrum as a whole and understand how each person has different needs. And so one person who has autism does not speak for everyone else.
Also, one thing I mainly believe is that anyone who goes into health profession needs to take a class like this, either this class or something similar, because you're going to work with like people of all ages, of all races, of all genders, just people all around the world. And of course, you're probably going to meet someone with autism. So it's really important that like you know like who they are and you understand them.
Overall, I think I came to realize that what my knowledge and what a lot of other people know about autism barely scratches the surface of what people on the spectrum experience, and that I have a lot more to learn. More ethical research needs to be done on how to assist people on the spectrum, and that we need to work harder to try to amplify the voices of people on the spectrum who try to speak out against injustices and inequalities towards themselves and other people on the spectrum.
After taking this course, I have a million more questions and a significantly higher passion for understanding and raising awareness for the autistic community.